All right. Thanks so much for joining us. We're gonna get started here. Blair, Essie, we're gonna do a quick intro of you guys just to give an agenda over all of what to expect today. Mostly we're here to listen to our ex-banker turned broker specialists. Okay, this is really about them and their experience and helping any bankers on the line who are maybe curious about the transition better understand what goes into it, what are the expectations, what are some things to know, and maybe also the reasons why. We'll also go over a little bit of mortgage architects and DLCG, who we are, just to qualify us, as well as introduce Mike here, our president, who himself did come from a bank, Scotiabank. And if you have any questions, feel free to type them into the Q&A section or the chat. We will definitely try to get to them, but we are going to cover the most common questions that bankers typically have when it comes to making the switch. And we're going to try to wrap it all up in less than an hour. So I'm going to get started. Okay. So welcome, Blair. We've already said hello to you. So glad we can see you.
Hi, how are you guys?
Very good. Thank you so much for joining. So Blair comes to us from TD. She had, I believe, over 11 years as a TD mortgage specialist, mobile mortgage specialist. And now she's been with us on the brokering side for just over 6 years, right, Blair?
Yep. So I left TD. I was with TD for in total just over 15 years. I left in the November of 2019, right before COVID hit. So
Mm.
very scary time, like changing right when the world's changing, but it
Yeah.
was honestly the best move that I've ever made.
Amazing. And you're coming to us from Alberta,
Yes.
Edmonton, Alberta.
So I'm on a team that's got 400 agents.
Yeah.
We are licensed across Canada, and yeah, like it's just been a absolute drastic change in my life, but it's been amazing.
That's great. Awesome. Okay, thanks, Blair. Essie, over to you. So Essie's coming to us all the way from the East Coast, Nova Scotia, and she had 12 years of working her way up the bank ladder to becoming a leading mortgage specialist in her area. And then she decided to leave and transition to the broker role and has been with us just over 2 years, right, Essie?
As of Saturday, yeah.
As of Saturday. Oh, happy
Yeah, and so I'm in New Brunswick, not Nova Scotia. Important
birthday.
distinction because we have smaller
Sorry.
deals here in New Brunswick, but it's all good. Yeah, so I had yeah, just under 13 years in banking. So I did everything from being a teller to being a bank manager to being a mortgage specialist and now on the broker side. And yeah, I would make the switch again any day.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to dive deep into these ladies and their experiences. But first, Blair, are you able to give Mike a quick little intro?
So we have Mike on the call. Mike is president of Mortgage Architects. Now, one of the best things that I have to advocate about having Mike on our side is that he knows the best of both worlds. So Mike was with a lender for many years before this. I sound like I'm aging you, Mike. He was with a lender before this. So whenever we have issues, we're like, Mike, why is pricing like this? What's happening? Mike has the insights. He's also one of the first people to advocate for us. So he just kind of knows the in and outs of both worlds. And a fun fact about Mike is that he is an amazing, uh, I'm going to say instrumentationist. Like he
I
plays
think they say musician
guitar.
normally.
What is it? Musician. There we go. So Mike plays you if you need a good karaoke night, you got to
Yeah.
invite Mike.
I love
Thank
that.
you, Blair.
Great.
Well,
Great.
it's good to be with everyone. Thank you for setting this up, Sarah. And yeah, we love doing these sessions because we have so many ex-bankers that made the jump into the broker world by joining Mortgage Architects, and there's so many success stories. And we're inspired by that, and just want to make sure that we are talking about it and talking about how the transition is, and talking about it honestly. Like, one thing you won't get today is just totally, fluff and spin about, all the great things. We'll tell you honestly, like where the challenges are, but ultimately, why it's generally worth it to consider making the move over to being a broker. I think, above all else, it's a mindset change, I believe, because you're going from representing a large brand if you're with a bank to working for yourself. And that comes with a lot of benefits, of course, a lot of opportunities and the ability to, own your own business, own your own clients. There's, of course, lots of financial advantages that we will get into. But above all else, it's just about moving into um, a role where you're essentially self-employed, but the beauty of it is you're not alone because when you join a brokerage like Mortgage Architects, not only do you have the tools and resources and structure that a large national brokerage like us can provide, but you also have the community. And you'll hear from, Blair and Essie are two perfect examples of that community and just how we all work together. We support each other, help each other out with deals. And even though you're getting the benefits of working for yourself and building your own business, you'll never feel like you're alone because of the community that we built together. So I don't want to take up any more time. I may jump in here and there as we go through, but the two stars of the show today are Blair and Essie. Who are going to talk about their experience, and yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing from them both.
Yeah. Okay, so before we dive into Blair and Essie, we're going to do a quick, Mike, if you will, 30 seconds on who are we mortgage architects, just so that you know who is talking to today, as well who is the DLCG group.
Yeah, of course. So, and I mean, it says a lot in the slides here. So, Mortgage Architects has about 2,200 agents across the country. We're going to fund around 20 billion in mortgage origination. So, if anything to take from that, it's that we are pretty big, right? Like we're not a small brokerage by any means. And our parent company is DLCG, Dominion Lending Centers Group of Companies.
Mhm.
DLCG is the largest mortgage company in Canada. It's publicly traded on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and it originates more mortgages than any Canadian bank. So I think anytime that, one of the initial hesitations is, well, I'm with this nationally recognized brand and, going to brokers really like the, Wild West unknown. I mean, DLCG as a whole, is massive in terms of the volume funded. It's over 9,000 agents. It's publicly traded. There's all sorts of support within it. We are the owner of a technology company called Newton and their product Velocity. So, it's a larger scale, and certainly you wouldn't be jumping from a large national company to a small company with us. Uh, Mortgage Architects is going to celebrate our 20th anniversary next year, so we are also not a new company. But when I was on the lender side, as Sarah mentioned, I spent 17 years working at Scotiabank, working with mortgage brokers and as well as their internal sales force. So had got to see everything close up. And Mortgage Architects was always known to me as an elite brand that garnered a lot of respect from lenders just because of the caliber of brokers that are within Mortgage Architects. So when the opportunity came to jump the fence and join, I was excited to do that because of the reputation, and it's certainly proven true since I've been here in just under 2 years, a little less than Essie. We have a really distinct culture that's built on community and helping each other out and personal development and making sure we approach our jobs with professionalism every day, but while still having a lot of fun. So yeah, this is just as Sarah is up here, just some of the accolades and things that we're known for in the mortgage industry. We were awarded the best full service brokerage in 2024 at the Mortgage Awards of Excellence. Our brokers are constantly appearing in various lists and awards throughout the industry, as you can see on these slides here. So we're very proud of the people that make up Mortgage Architects.
Great, thank you. And I think just one thing to kind of leave it off on is the sheer size of DLCG. So we know that bankers, when you come from the bank, you're used to coming from, official financial institution, very well respected brand. Well, that's exactly what you're going to get on this side. With DLCG, as we said, Mortgage Architect's been around for 20 years. Our head office staff are more than 180 people. We have over 9,000 agents across Canada. And we did this year we're set to hit 68 billion in mortgage transactions, which is absolutely huge. And that's twice as much as any other financial institution or credit union or anything. So just know that with us, you are with another very well known and trusted brand. Okay, on to the good stuff. So, Essie and Blair, tell us about your why. Why did you decide to make the change?
Well, my why is actually pretty simple. I was with BMO, and at the time BMO was making its entrance into the broker channel, and there was a lot of changes that were happening internally. I was a very high performing mortgage specialist at the time, and what I found was that I kept repeatedly bringing up a lot of issues, and it nothing was progressing in the way that I needed it to as my business was growing, and so I was hitting all these bottlenecks. So when BMO entered the broker channel, it really just kind of opened up this opportunity that I hadn't thought of. I went into banking thinking I was going to be a banker forever, to be perfectly honest. And so that really kind of opened it up where I started truly looking at the option of making the switch. And very honestly, the more I looked at it, the more I just couldn't believe that I hadn't looked at it sooner. And the more obvious it was that this was the way to go. And so now I have access to still do BMO mortgages, but I can access so many other options. So yeah, it's been an incredible switch, but that's kind of what precipitated the transition for me was their kind of movement.
So I left TD, and I knew that I had TD in the broker channel. In the broker channel, they didn't quite, when I came over, had all the products that I could offer at the branch level. But what I was finding is that it was a bottleneck. Like everything we were doing at that level was a bottleneck. We were getting more and more clients that had more difficult income or more like just specialty programs that weren't always offered at that one lender. So I felt like we were just continuously kind of maybe referring off, or, we are hitting clients that had harder income or a little bit of bruised credit. And I'm a person that doesn't like to hear no. I like to hear yes. So I found on, like, I would send them over to other brokers or to the B channel, and they were finding ways around it. And I was always intrigued to learn more, how to find that out and learn those ways instead of just what was being offered in those at that one bank. The other big determining factor was honestly pay. And I know that sounds absolutely crazy, but I was seeing what other brokers were doing. I was friends with a ton of brokers. I'd been in the business at TD for a long time. A lot of them had left. They'd gone brokers, and I'd kind of seen what was happening. And they're getting wined and dined, and they're getting all these little tiny perks, and they're going these places, and they're doing these things, and seeing all these events. And honestly, I was like, okay, I just had to see what that was about. Um, it's you're valued. You're not seen as a number, you're seen as a person. And it was it was just a huge eye-opening for me. I'd say that's probably my biggest why, is seeing other people's posts and seeing what they're doing, and just kind of, I guess, wanting that.
I mean, yeah, having fun with it and having more solutions too,
Yeah.
right? Right. I think that's what it comes down to, because on this side, realistically, you're the client of the lenders now. You don't work for them, you don't answer to them, and they're all of a sudden competing for your business. So you have more than one option. They're well aware of that. So, they want to treat you to these special things. They want to make exceptions for you because they want your business, right? They are needing to actually go out and ask for your business. And it's in their best interest to maintain that relationship with you.
Yep. Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, that's a very good point. For what do people need in order to make a successful transition?
First and foremost, if a person is going to make the transition, you also have to shift your mindset from I'm representing the brand to I am the brand. Because when I was at the bank, it was very much presented to me as, okay, well, you can't go out on your own because you're not going to get clients, because you're getting clients because you're with the
Mhm.
brand, which was not my experience. But that mindset shift itself is something that you do need, because that's where it all starts, right?
You're right. That's exactly one of the points that I think is very important to hit on is that you are your own brand and therefore, you own that client relationship. And a client should be a client for life. So it's not just the initial transaction and then you're kind of back on the treadmill looking for the next client. It's more investing, I think, in that relationship as instead of transactional, right?
Support was very important when I did make the transition, because you go from a system. I mean, I was with the same bank
Mhm.
for a decade, so I knew the system in and out. And so I would not have made it being able to submit my first few deals without all the training that was available on how to even use Velocity and submit deals. But I think I submitted my first deal within like a few days of switching. So the transition from that standpoint was very good. Like I had access to all the support I needed to hit the ground running,
Mhm.
because I needed that. So that was very good. I'll let you go, Blair.
Honestly, I'm just going to mimic kind of what Essie said is whenever you come from a banker perspective, like I knew how to, and Essie was the same. We knew how to do mortgages inside and out. We know how to do them. But the problem is whenever you come over, you've got access to so many different lenders. And my first mindset was, I'm going to learn every single one of them inside and out, and I'm going to know how to do this. But without the proper mentorship and the guidance behind you, you don't even know how to get to these lenders. You don't even know how to get in front of them. And that's where I'm saying, like, when you are looking at moving over, you want to do your right research, talk to the right people, and make sure that you've got the right surroundings beside you, because they're going to be the ones that are going to help you through this. So, for example, like I won't lie, the first few files that I did went straight to TD because that was my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Now I would say they're probably one of third or fourth in my lender list because you've got such a vast variety of them. And it's whenever you are looking to move over, you need to know how to do those things and have the right surroundings, the right people supporting you. And that's exactly what, MA has. We've got enough people that, I can call if I've got an issue that, like, hey, I don't know what to do with this Scotia file. I've got 10 people that I can phone that I know can help me.
Yeah, 100%.
Very true. I think it's kind of unique to having two ex-bankers on the line here who have access to the bank still in that channel, right? Because I mean, SE, you can submit to BMO Blair, you can submit to TD. But did it kind of surprise you? I mean, you touched on a little bit, Blair, but when you came over, were you kind of thinking, oh, well, I'm mostly just going to, use the same lender I've been using, but getting paid better, more adequately, or were you more so I'm looking for alternative solutions and to kind of step away from this?
You hit the nail on the head with the hammer, Sarah. I'm not even going to lie to you. The first 6 months I was a broker, I would say 90% of my files went to TD because that
Mhm.
was my comfort zone. That is what I did. That's where they went. Until I started, reaching out and learning new products and knowing what I could do and where to go with different things that I could do at TD, but going somewhere else that maybe had a better rate, had a better pay, had a different even appraisal system. So
Mhm.
there's different like I did find my comfort zone, but and it took time to learn it, but that's exactly like I think Essie probably can speak the same way. She probably I don't know, did you send out more to BMO
Well,
at the beginning,
I
right? Like
so I guess the thing is we didn't get access to BMO for a couple of months because BMO was very, very fresh in the channel. We were, I
Yeah.
think, part of the very first cohort that was onboarded in New Brunswick, and that was because I had connections. But it took a few months. So, but in my experience, I guess immediately when I got signed up and my team lead was, introducing me to his lenders and stuff like that, immediately I'm getting invites for like, oh, we want to get to know you. We want to talk to you about our products. So I guess my experience was different in the sense that I couldn't immediately just jump and go to BMO. I was kind of thrown into the deep end in terms of, okay, you have to learn these other lenders because these are your options. But the amazing thing was that these lenders, going back to the treated like a client versus, when I submitted files as a mortgage specialist, sometimes it felt like us and credit, we were butting heads, we were fighting.
Right.
Like I'm trying to get the deal done. They're trying to decline me. And then I came to the broker channel and it seemed that lenders are trying to get your file approved and they're trying to get your exceptions and they're trying to help you. A lender would pick up the phone and say, okay, well, here's how you should present this to me when you send it in this way. And that was just unheard of for me. So I guess my experience was a little bit different in that sense. But I did, once I did get access to BMO, I've been sending a lot of stuff there because of the nature of the business that I have. A lot of my clients do fit there, but I kind of, I guess, started a little bit differently because of that access issue initially.
Yeah, that is a fact. Actually, you didn't have it right away, so maybe that gave
Yeah,
you a chance to kind of look outside
yeah,
the box a bit, but then
yeah.
offer that kind of when it came up. And I think a lot of the bankers, when they're considering making the switch, they get overwhelmed because they hear, oh, we have pretty much unlimited access to lenders, like any lender available that, is within regulations. If you can make it work, you can make it work. But the fact is that most brokers, I think, mostly warm up with about 3 to 5 that they kind of consistently use. Maybe a couple of those on the A side, then a couple on the B side. And it's not, I think that's where the second point here comes into play, the mentorship from someone who kind of understands the mindset that yes, you know how to do an A deal with your eyes closed, but what you do need to learn, your learning curve is going to be the other lenders and the other products and the kind of their nuances and what fits where. And we also have a great tool for that too. So you're not on your own. AI has come to the rescue for that we're seeing more and more, where you can, in our systems, just go in and type in some basic, details of that client, what they're looking for, and it will make suggestions of lenders available. So you can even, filter down, I want to look at only prime lenders or alternative and 3 year, 5 year variable fixed, whatever it may be, even in the area. There are even specific filters that can help you out to try to see what lender does that. But also, we have so many good social community groups, I'd say, particularly centering around like Facebook communities. We have a women in mortgages group. We have a one for mortgage architects. There's a I Love Mortgage Brokering. There's lots of groups with thousands and thousands and thousands of Canadian brokers in there with, the combined amount of experience I know you could even calculate. And I'd say overall brokers are just very supportive of each other. So you can go in there and ask a question, and within 10, 15 minutes, I'd say you'll have a variety of answers that come from a lot of people with a lot of great experience.
Can I just make a quick comment on that,
Yeah,
Sarah?
sure.
I just want to say that in my experience, brokers who have no financial benefit of helping you, no incentive, are the quickest to call, are the quickest to help. Like the
Yeah.
amount of support that I have received from brokers, well, Blair being one of them, we're not even on the same team, but she's picked up the phone to help me through challenging situations. I've had calls from other brokers with completely different networks helping me through different situations. And, it's interesting because at the bank, there were maybe some people that, I could call on for help, but there was this there was this competitiveness. The top
Yeah.
performers would say, I'm not going to share my secrets because if I share my secrets, you're going to be more successful than me or you're going to take my business. And I have felt the complete opposite of that in my experience in the broker channel. Like the generosity I've experienced is really unmatched. And I mean that like completely.
Yeah.
I felt
Bankers.
more alone when I was at the bank than I
Yeah.
do over here. Like, I
Mhm.
feel like we have the best community. We really, truly do have the best community around us.
Yeah, I think one common theme is that people find their people. right?
Yeah.
So I think there's a saying that goes, sometimes you feel more alone in a crowded room, because maybe you're in the wrong room, right? Um,
Yeah.
in this industry, because you work for yourself, you get to pick what room you want to be in. And you never want to be the smartest person in the room. If you are, you need to find another room. That's very easy to do because we come together on so many things. Like brokering, it's business for self. So it can easily be maybe if you want it to be a lonely job, but it takes almost zero effort. It would be pretty hard to keep it lonely because there's such a big community out there. And, when you're all understand what each other is going through in order to be successful, and some people raise a family or, multiple working households in this industry, people really, really come together in such a beautiful way because we don't have a authority above us that's kind of pitting us against each other and saying, let's see your numbers compared to, your colleagues' numbers, and why aren't you outselling them this year? Like it doesn't really center around that competitive arena the
Yeah.
same, I'd say.
Yeah.
So then let's go on to like, where did your first business sources come from when you left the bank? What did you really lean in on? And then how has it developed from there?
So for myself, I had a very, I guess, large amount of past clients, and I had current ongoing transactions when I did leave. And so I kind of immediately hit the ground running. I made a post on Facebook. Quite frankly, I think I got 3 or 4 clients immediately from that. And that gave me an immediate sense of that we were talking about, that like I am the brand, right? People trusted me more than they trusted the brand I was associated with. So for me, it's been very organic since then. It's been social media. It's been my realtors. My top referring realtors have very honestly told me that they send, and I experience this, they send me way more now because before I was their BMO girl. So they sent me their BMO clients. And that was it. And so now I'm just the girl, right? And so it doesn't matter where the client banks, whatever, they're just recommending that client talk to me. So I've seen a lot more referrals from realtors since being on the broker side, just due to, not being tied to the brand and having access to options. So, hey, if the client doesn't fit here, they don't have to start over. We're just shifting gears. So that's really been the biggest source of business for me. And it's kind of snowballed since, to be honest. It's been an incredible growth year over year. And it's not showing any signs of slowing down. So we're having fun.
That's very interesting that you say that because I hear from a lot of bankers that their number one concern is that they will no longer be the, TD, the CIBC guy, or that they won't have kind of that uh they call like, big green sign behind them. But for you, you're saying, that's actually a positive because I'm not really put into that box anymore. And instead of being the BMO girl, I'm just the girl. The girl who
100%.
has all the solutions, and you can
Yeah.
come to, and we can have a candid, like holistic analysis to see where you belong instead of me trying to kind of put you into the only box that I offer.
100%. Yeah.
That's interesting to hear. Yeah. Blair, what about you?
I would say mine's similar to Essie's. Like I really leaned into my database. So
Yeah.
we can use our own CRM on this side. So we
Mhm.
weren't tied to sending out exactly what the bank wanted us to send out, or um, allowing us to do what we could do. And so I really leaned into a brand and my database when I moved over. So social media, like we blew that out of the water, right? And I leaned into my
Mhm.
community. So I live in a little bit of a smaller community. We have a little bit more acreages. I leaned into that, being able to go to ATB, which is Alberta Treasury Branch, a credit union in Alberta. And so I leaned into just I pushed myself out of my comfort zone a little bit to try to, because I felt like my past clients were still going to call me, but I leaned into getting them into my own database, into my own CRM tools to make sure I was in front of their faces. But then I also kind of leaned into my own brand, my own social media, and grew who I was as a mortgage broker and not a TD mortgage specialist.
Yeah, so I think another good point there is it's not one thing in particular. It's
Yeah.
probably number one step, like, hone in on your database. Okay, put it to work for you, pick up the phone, make sure people are aware of your transition, and that can, look in a variety of ways, whether it is direct on the phone, whether it is email, sending out mass SMS, however you want to market yourself. Just make sure that you're marketing and marketing wisely. And I think it's really important to do some kind of business planning too if you are considering making that switch of, what do you want your brand to look like before you go big with it. Don't get too focused in on the details, but more so what's going to be my approach there, and make sure that you have a network. Like we do a lot of us ourselves do a lot of sales and marketing and branding business training. We have a really, really great CRM program. Now, as a broker, you are entitled to use, whichever CRM you want, and your branding, as long as it falls within the FISRA or your provincial regulations, you're good. So there is a lot of freedom there. But what we find is that a lot of brokers or bankers come over too and they say, I can't wait to get my marketing going, but I'm too concentrated on these deals, or I don't know how to use the system. I don't have the time to learn it. I don't know what campaigns I should be, what are the touch points? And I have no idea what I'm doing. And they kind of, it's the reason why 50% of brokers don't end up using a CRM. And that is a really big deterrent to your business. So one thing we love to coach and really, really drive home, and I know that these ladies use a form of CRM themselves, is the importance of it and getting that up and running. And with us, we'll go in, we'll set it up for you. We've got the templated campaigns. All you have to do is turn it on, plug and play, and it's going to run automatically in the background for you and help bring in that refinance, renewal business, help warm up clients, walk them through the closing process, build your Google reviews, ask for referrals, everything along the way, bleeding into pre-approvals, reminding of pre-approval expiration date, everything along the way. It's super important. So you have the option to either, utilize what we will give you, or take it more in your own hands and do a little bit more customization if that's something you prefer. Do you
Can I
guys have
add to that,
any?
Sarah?
Yeah, please.
The one thing that I can also stress is that when I first came over, I was scared to add people to my CRM. I was scared because I was thinking,
Yeah.
oh God, I did this mortgage for them 10 years ago. Now
Mm,
I'm showing up in their inbox. They're not going to know who I am. But honestly, you can't be afraid to add anybody. Add them in there. You never know, right? Like you just never know. And any person that I talk to, I add them in there. I talk to a lawyer, I add them in there. I talk to a realtor, I add them in there. A financial planner, add them in there. My neighbor, add them in there, right? Every single person that you talk to, don't be afraid to add them in there.
definitely, because a lot of it is not deal focused unless you're actually doing a deal with that person, right? It's more so going to be like Happy New Year, Happy Birthday, things along those lines. Like, who doesn't want to hear well wishes from you, right?
Everybody loves a good happy birthday.
Everybody loves Happy Birthday. What about you, Essie? Do you have any comments on that?
I would say that the biggest response rate that I get is on my happy birthday email because
Yeah.
I have it
Yep.
I customized my own to just sound just like me. It's even got a little like smiley face that's not even an emoji. It's like the two dots and the smile. And I would say like 90% of people respond to it. And
That's
so, but
really
just
good.
little things like that. Um, and I also think that one thing that I want to highlight is that you mentioned, okay, well, renewal. So when I was at the bank, people would call me because they were up for renewal and they were like, oh, we did our mortgage with you. We loved working with you. We're up for renewal. And I'd be like, oh, I can't help you unless you're refinancing. So go to this branch. And it was, really disappointing because I was trying to build these relationships with clients, but my mandate was not to be a relationship manager. It was to be a
Right.
salesperson and acquire new clients, which is two very different things. So now one of the cool things is somebody comes up for renewal and it's just a very different kind of conversation. It's more like, okay, is this lender still the best fit for you? And if they are, in some cases, you can negotiate with that lender on your client's behalf. And the client thinks you're a hero because
Yep.
you're, helping them through the renewal. And sometimes moving them to another lender or doing a refinance. Even in the 2 years since I've become a broker, I've had so many repeat clients who have bought and refinanced, or who have refinanced and bought, or who have, and I'm able to lean into that relationship and really, really make it long term, and very honestly tell them, like, okay, when you call for renewal, you're not going to get just pushed to a random person at a call center. You call me, right?
Yeah.
And that for me was huge, because that's what I think I wanted the whole time. And that was a missing piece for me, I think.
It's a good point. I had my biggest year this year because I moved. My renewals came forward from the first year that I started. All of them were coming up for renewals this year. And I grew my business, I think, by, I'm going to say 60-50% year over year from
Wow.
last year.
That's
All because
great.
my renewals came up from the very first year that I did it. And we talked to them. We either renegotiated with the current bank, or we picked them up, refinanced, moved them, whatever worked best for that client.
That's excellent. That's a huge thing that I think a lot of bankers miss out on, is that you can early renew, right? And we have an amazing tool to do that very, very easily. Have AI make those calculations and do a full report to your client on why it makes sense, why you can help them meet their financial goals. And if you early renew and move them to a different lender, you get paid out as a broker, right? Or if they choose to stay with the lender, are you able to refinance?
It just depends on the lender. Different lenders will let you do different things at renewal. So I think it just comes down to like seeing what works best. But my approach isn't always like money focused either. I mean, I have lots of renewal conversations where I make $0 and we have a great conversation and that client feels awesome. And then they leave me a Google review, or they send me their brother, or and so for me, the renewal conversations aren't even necessarily centered about doing a transaction. It's just about being the go-to expert, and that is what makes money.
Very, very true. Yeah. Blair, is there any tool in particular that you used this year to help you along with those renewal calculations?
I use that. MA has that calculator, the calculator tool, the app. We have an MA app, the mortgage planner app. I'm in that daily.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so like this will show a client whether it's worth it to break it. You could do calculations, 20-year AM. Is it better to do a 30-year AM, or a like it shows cost interest savings. You can email it directly to the client and it's all branded to you. I'm in this calculator. I live in this calculator.
Hmm.
My
Yeah, I
screen
use it
time,
all the
I
time
think,
too.
actually told me this year that it was like, don't ever look at your screen time report, because it shows you, that we're always on our phones. But like, I
Oh
honestly am
no.
telling you, I think this was like 50% of my screen time or something.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
That's crazy. Hey, but that's great. It is such an indispensable tool. It also has up-to-date rates on there too. Do you guys I know that you said you work with realtors. Do you have your realtors and your clients downloaded as well?
Yeah, my realtors will actually send it to the clients sometimes. So I'll
Yeah.
get random clients who start applications. I'm like, where'd you come from? They're like, oh, this realtor sent me your app.
A referral, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like almost passive referrals, because if a realtor is trying to speak to a client about affordability and things like that, like, they need some kind of calculator, right? And if they're going into Google, they're probably going to get the big banks calculators showing up. But the good news is you have your own branded app. It's called My Mortgage Planner. We use the Canadian Mortgage app. If you want to go Google it, anyone on the line curious about it, it's a fantastic tool. We don't charge our brokers extra for it. They get the pro version, personally branded for you, and you're able to share it around like your own kind of digital business card. And then, as Essie said, if anyone uses it or downloads it, you get notifications. So your realtors could be talking to clients that you haven't been introduced to, and you'll see them download your app, and all of a sudden you're looped right in.
And it
Yeah.
even works really well for the refinance. Like there's a refinance calculator that I'll send it to the clients, and they can put in there that, we have a loan, it's at this interest rate, it's at this, I pay this monthly. And then it shoots out a calculator and it'll say, you're going to save $3,000 a month and this much interest. Like it populates it all forward, sends it right to the client, and it's great.
Yes, the refinance analyzer is huge, I think, because it only takes like a minute to do. And one
Yeah.
thing that does
Oh
that the
yeah.
banks don't is it's going to ask what are the financial goals. Like, does your client need to take out equity? Do they want to pay off debt, pay off their mortgage faster, lower their interest rates, whatever that may be? It factors that in as well as the penalty calculations and lawyer fees. And at the end, it'll give them a beautifully multi-page PDF report all branded for you, and it'll break down very clearly, so easily, like a grade school kid could read it. And it's got, current scenario, newly proposed scenario with Blair. Here's where you're going to break even, and here's how we're going to reach your financial goals. And that's all done now by the AI system, in a matter of minutes.
I also love it that so I'll send it to my clients, they create a portal, and all of a sudden it'll be like midnight, and one of my clients will be like, oh, Sarah just logged back into your app and did a
Yeah.
scenario. Like, it tells you. And
Yeah.
like, oddly enough, if I'm awake, I'll be like, hey, how's things? And they're just like, why are you like, like it tells you instantly who's logged into it, who's done what. And I'll be like, what are you guys thinking about doing? What's going on? What questions do you have? Right. So it tells you who's in your app.
Yeah, you could say my ears were ringing. I was thinking of you.
Yes. Yeah.
But really, it was your phone ringing, your notifications.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to say that I am not doing mortgages at midnight like Blair, but you get to run your business how you choose to.
There you go,
I
though.
have
You
four
are
kids. Nobody sleeps in my house.
I think that is one important point I did want to touch on is when it comes to, meeting quota, as a broker, you truly work for yourself. There is no pressure. We just want you guys to make as much money as you can, and we want to help you do that. That's it. Um, but when it comes to quota, like, you must hit this volume this year in order to get this volume bonus or rate, etc. It doesn't work that way on this side. As well, the insurance part, we don't have any pressure to sell insurance. We don't have any quotas. We do offer a really great product, the Manulife Insurance Mortgage Protection Plan. It is really great because it's portable. So when the client gets assessed, they are then able to take that, if they change lenders over the years, and keep it with that initial monthly rate that they were assessed at. So it's kind of like the forever young clause. And as well, it's superior to because they're allowed to do partial insurance, right? So they can choose either life or disability or both. They're not kind of having to take the whole package. And as well as a broker, it does provide a really great incentive program for you ladies. I believe you ladies may have met on a certain trip to do with insurance, right?
We did. We met on the MVP trip in Mexico, which was a really fun trip. And so I've gone a few times now. I'm going again next year. I'm going to knock on wood. Think I'm qualified, I'm quite sure. But yeah, it's really these types of trips. One of the differences, I guess, is that when I went on anything for the bank, it was always meetings, meetings, meetings. And it was like the whole trip is 2 days and it's all meetings and you don't actually get to enjoy yourself. But with the MPP trip specifically, it kind of blows me away because it's very relaxed and very kind of do things on your own time. And there's some fun networking events and, some recognition and things like that. But it's more like a vacation than a conference in
Yes.
on this side.
Totally. And not only do you get compensated much higher for insurance sales, we have about
Yeah.
9 times the client's monthly premium is what you get to take home as kind of a pay raise on your
Yeah.
commission. But
Yeah.
also, if you hit a certain amount, that is a very reachable amount, you will get taken to all expensive 5-star resort trip to Mexico once a year with no agenda. How great is that?
Yeah.
It brings me back, Sarah, to one of the comments that I made where it's like, you're not a number on this side. Like, I feel like the lenders care about you and they wine and dine you, right? And so this is one of the many examples. Okay. So you sell a certain number of policies, and in your mind that the client's protected, right? That's the biggest thing is we want to make sure our clients are protected. we get paid to make sure our clients are protected. And because they love us and we make sure our clients are protected, they send us to Mexico, where I get to meet people like Essie, who's now become a long-term friend of mine. Right. So that's where I'm like, it's surround yourself with people that are going to help get you there too. Right.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, another point we have to touch on, because you can't talk about the difference between banking and brokering without talking about the difference in income, because it is quite substantial. So how did you guys find that change?
Dramatic. My first year in brokering, I did about 60% of the number of files. I made $20,000 more gross, and I paid $20,000 less in taxes. Those are
Wow.
real numbers. Yes. That was year one, which was last year. This year, the numbers are still out, but very, like, very significant difference. No comparison.
So one of my whys is, whenever I was leaving TD, I'd sat down and I'd shown another broker exactly, these are the files I did. This is what the amounts were. This is what I got paid. We sat down, we did the math, and I would have made about $217,000 more on the broker side if I brought all of those files even to TD alone on this side. Granted, I didn't have pension, I didn't have that, but at the same time, if I would have made that much more money, it would have covered my pension and covered my benefits. So everything goes into an incorporated bracket now. I get to choose
Mhm,
what I pay myself. I have a health
mhm.
spending account. Honestly, the money that you save on this side, have a great accountant. They can set everything up, do whatever you need on that side to just, it's just an incredible difference. You don't have to pay as much. Like, I was paying tons of money into CRA just on deductions alone. And now it's like, it's half of what we were paying before.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is that so the bank would tell me, like, okay, well, you have, access to technology and we pay for your technology and all these things. And I had all these tech issues, and that's a whole different story. But, one of the things that I really love is, okay, yes, I do pay for my tech, but I get to choose what technology I use. And if my computer's broken, I can go and buy another one, right? And also just what systems that I use. I mean, obviously we use Velocity. Velocity is amazing, but just in terms of, what other technology platforms do I want to use as a person who's self-employed? I get to choose what I do with those dollars. And even taking all of those expenses into account, still way further ahead, because again, it goes into that, Blair, you mentioned it, like the incorporated tax umbrella, and there's just so much that you can do within that, because you're in control. Like, the bank isn't deciding what is happening with your business. You decide what you want to do with your business.
100%. I think that's very well put. And then also, the factor that
Mm.
you no longer necessarily have to turn away clients, because if they're not a fit
Mm.
for that prior product box that you were representing, you can now go find another box.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that one was huge for me because I remember, tell a very short story. When I moved over, one of the last deals that I was doing at BMO, I was working with this sweet young new to Canada family, and BMO declined them over absolute technicality, made no sense whatsoever. But they would not. I escalated, they would not do it, and I sent it to my team lead. And it was in the broker channel. They wrote the deal up, sent it to a lender. It was approved, and most conditions were satisfied within 2 hours.
Wow.
Like, it was, so this was right before I knew I was making the switch, but I was trying to help this young family. I was going to leave them at BMO. I was just going to, like, do it and leave, and didn't care if I got paid. Like, it was fine. But then they just wouldn't play ball. And so I called my mentor and I said, listen, like, I can't get this done. Like, can you help them? And that really opened my eyes to how dramatic that difference can be when you have options, because the problem wasn't the clients. The problem was the underwriter hadn't had their Cheerios that day and they didn't like my file. But I was stuck. I had no other option, until I moved over. And so, anyways, tidbit, real story.
Hadn't had their Cheerios. I love that. Okay, so I think one more thing I just kind of want to comment on is like, the training when you come over from the bank, people are thinking like who's going to be there to answer my questions, am I completely thrown to the wolves? I know how to do a deal, but there's different types of deals I now need to learn and the broker side looks a little different. So just to let you guys know, we do have agent training program. When you get licensed, which you will need to do, it's not a big undertaking to do your license, and you just have to check what province you're with. So, for example, in Ontario, you'll be going through perhaps program REMIC or MPC, and it's through FISRA. Each province will look a little different though. Easy enough to give that a Google, reach out and ask us. We can easily help fill you in on the information. But not only are we going to give you training off the bat to get you started with your systems, your tools, and structuring deals, but as well, you'll have your team on the ground that you join, or should you want to look at kind of coming on and doing your own thing. We also have this would be an example of a typical month. Tons of business development stuff always going on. Whether it be business growth, with actual tangible coaching, uh, underwriting training that's like gets down right to the nitty-gritty, AI training now, learning how to incorporate and automate up to 40% of your business. Mike here, our president, does his monthly calls to update us on the state of the marketplace. Then Tuesdays we do a little bit more tangible, usually focused around marketing or sales tips, things like that. Masterclass sessions. So these are coming from our top agents who specialize in different areas, such as this is David Mayrand in this photo here. He is one of the top commercial brokers in Canada. Yes, you can work commercial mortgages on this side, and he came on and did some basic commercial training. So really, it's more so how much time do you have and how much are you looking to take on rather than a lack of any kind of inspiration or topic. And then, very important too is getting to know those lender partners, because as we said, the lenders are everything on this side, right? They are your business partners. They help you get the deals done. So we do have a lot of time, FaceTime with them, and a lot of chances for you to learn more about them. Have you ladies attended any of the trainings recently?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I attend anything I possibly can. And I guess to go back to one thing that I had mentioned, like some of these faces on here, like, Jill and Renee and David, like these are incredibly busy, successful people. They do
Mhm.
not need to take their time to come on and train you and I on how to do things, but they do because they actually care about people. And I actually mentioned this to Mike a little while back that I'm constantly amazed by how much MA gives back to the brokers in terms of we think this is going to be valuable. We think this is going to help your business. So let's launch it, right? And that's really powerful, right? When you're in a constantly evolving environment and things are changing all the time, um, you can't put a price on that, in my opinion.
Mike did a call with Community Trust, I'm going to say 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, something like that. Might have even been slightly longer. I don't think I would have got my file approved if I wasn't on that call watching Mike. I was
Mhm.
having issues, didn't know what to do, didn't know where to go. I called the girl on the Community Trust call. She didn't even know who I was. And I was just like, listen, I was just on this call with you with Mike. This is the file I have. I can you help me? And she's like, yeah, and got it
Yeah.
it funded 2 weeks ago. So like they're very like they're integrated, they're there to help us. Absolutely.
Love
Amazing.
that.
You also have personalized support too, so day to day, who's going to help me out if I have a question. You've got RVPs, so we provide RVPs for you, and they're kind of your go-to if you prefer to pick up the phone and ask someone rather than wait on hold for a customer care department. You have a friend for sure, a dedicated regional person who's there to help you out, and then all the tech support and software trainers. So you're very, very well supported. I think that a lot of bankers find it almost overwhelming when they come on this side, with just exactly how much support they're able to receive. So quick, we're just gonna sum it up because we're reaching the top of the hour, and we want to say thank you so much to Blair. Thank you so much to Essie. Anyone on the line, if you have any questions, I'm definitely a great resource to talk to. I've got a great bird's eye view of the industry. I know about the banker to broker transition. We're very lucky in the sense that we're able to help you out in that and support you, help you business plan, even plan ahead, and help place you on in the place or team that really is the best for you. So reach out for a confidential conversation. Always happy to chat. And yeah, Mike, Blair, Essie, any final comments?
I'm just gonna say that I think that if you're sitting on the edge and you have a little bit of anxiety about it, I would say that that's a good sign because that usually means you're going in the right direction.
True.
That's all.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
support that comment.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think anybody that has made the switch would tell you that it's the best move they made. So, sometimes you have to just kind of face that fear head on. I'm definitely glad I did.
Yeah. We hear from a lot of people that I should have done this 10 years ago.
Mm.
Is typically
I
the
I've
comment.
said it about 100 times. I don't know
Yeah.
why I didn't move earlier.
Yeah. And they say the most expensive time in your career is between when you know you need to make change and when you actually make that
Yep.
change.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for coming on today. We really appreciate you and your time. And thanks, Mike, as well.
Thanks, everybody. And thank
Okay.
you, Blair. Thank you, SC. Really appreciate your
Mm.
time. We talked about a lot of great things today. And yeah, I hope it's going to spur a lot of further conversations. Thanks.
Thanks, guys,
Amazing.
for having us.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye, guys.